Excited to be back. And thank you, everybody, for attending our launch event. Always super excited to do these sorts of things. So, there's a bunch of questions today, and I'm excited to go through all of them. So, the incredible team at Fellow has also compiled a lot of the questions that you've asked during the launch event. And so, I'm going to basically go through those items. So, I'm going to answer those questions. So, first, I'm going to answer a question. I have a question from Addie who says, our meetings are 85% external with project clients. Can Fellow automatically group meetings based on clients or projects easily? That's a great question. So again, we're working on this stuff super rapidly. So what you're going to notice coming very soon, and we just got access to it in our own staging environment, is you're going to have filters in your meeting recordings library where you can say, show me all external meetings, as an example. You're going to have things like that. And then you're also going to be able to search based on the attendees. So you're going to be able to select if it's this attendee or this title, and you're going to be able to search for those. Okay, so Janelle, does it search across all videos? For example, would it respond to a prompt like which meetings are relevant for a trainee? Today, it does not. This is the first iteration of this. The current iteration is you can basically chat with your previous meeting in a recurring series. The next iteration that we're working on is for you to be able to search more than just the last iteration, but go broader. And then we're going to have to think about searching across your meetings. But what you can do today, if you have a word you want to search for or a particular phrase, you can use our global search and it will search all of your transcripts. And so any meetings that have a particular word mentioned, and then you can maybe favorite them or link to them in another place so that you can kind of isolate those and keep it that way. From Chris, is unlimited storage of Copilot on the Pro plan, or is there a limit to the number of meetings that I can record? Great question. But the way that it works right now is the new Pro plan by default includes 5 recordings per person per month, but pooled. So if you have 10 people, that would be 50. The business plan has more, and the enterprise plan has even more. We also have a pay-as-you-go system. So if you put $5, $10 as a budget, if you run out of credits, we'll basically take that away from the budget that you allocated. So a few options there. The way that I think about all of this stuff is that we're entering a world where think about getting one person to not have to attend the meeting and be able to consume it asynchronously or be able to watch a clip. Like if that happens once in the entire month, Fellow is worth it. So from Christopher, what about a meeting recorder where a conference room is included and there are multiple voices on one microphone? Today, the way that that would work is that Fellow would assume all the people in room are one person. We are working on it. This is something that we are actively thinking about. There are plans to address it. I can't promise when we'll be able to have that functionality out there, but definitely Fellow is a product for remote and hybrid companies. And this is a very common hybrid scenario. So even though we don't have it today, it's something that we're definitely thinking about and actively discussing. From Lee, what service is processing a meeting and is it kept private and not retained? So great question. The way that you all should think about Fellow is that what we're here to do is we're here to solve the global meeting problem. The only way that we can help with every single meeting in a company is if we have world-class security, privacy, permissioning. And so that's basically how we address this. And a lot of the focus and effort that we do is around permissioning, privacy rules, working with very large companies, publicly traded, sensitive financial information, highly regulated, right? So these are the types of customers that we work with. So there's a lot of settings around this stuff. We have a sub-processor section. We are SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. And so if you search for Fellow sub-processors, you can rest assured that we're obviously validating and making sure that all of these sub-processors that we use have at least the same security standards we do, if not a level above, although Fellow's pretty high up there. And the other thing to keep in mind is that we're always experimenting. Fellow isn't using just one service and calling it a day. Like we are actively thinking about the best places to use the best technology and bringing and curating that so that when you're using Fellow for your meetings, you have the latest and greatest that AI technology offers. Brewer 2326, how can we navigate the data security questions about who and what has access to the meeting data? Basically, the way that this works is by default, Fellow just uses the permissioning of your calendar. If there's 3 people in that meeting, those are the only 3 people that are going to have access to the meeting information, nobody else, unless you very specifically share that information. In terms of where this information is stored, again, I would check our sub-processors, but we use AWS to basically do all the storage. You have full access to everything. You can download your videos, the data belongs to you. The data always belongs to the customers. So from Heather, and Heather, thank you for all your participation. I saw you're very, very active in the chat. So thank you for all your support. You said, can you explain the access level of Copilot features for guest viewers? We use Fellow for external users. So one of the things that we focus on with Copilot is we're trying to make it easier and easier for you to send the meeting recaps to your external clients that don't have Fellow accounts. So this is now enabled. You can do it. If you click on the AI recap and open it up, there's a send button, and then you can type emails and send it to them. You can set the automation. So on account level, that whenever you have meetings with an external customer, the AI notes can automatically be sent. You can make changes and customize this automation. So again, lots of capability there. Krista, I'm a solopreneur, but in probably 10 to 15 meetings a week. I forgot to mention that, especially if you're a solopreneur, there's an unlimited option. So that's something you can also get. If you message your support and ask for the unlimited option, there is like a higher level plan that works for solopreneurs, and you can definitely use that one. Basically, the way that it works, it's an additional $10 per user per month, and it'll give you unlimited. Next question, Leor, is there anything on the roadmap to have meeting content to be auto skipped based on keywords? I think what you're saying is, if there's sensitive content, is there a way to redact that information? If that's what you're thinking, that is something that we are thinking about actively. And I can kind of give you a hint. We're going to give you the opportunity to be able to go off the record and on the record and some things like that, and also go back and make some changes in that way. So we're definitely thinking about this. Christopher, can meeting recordings and clips be downloaded? Yeah, you can definitely download them. That's an easy one. Jeremy, in Google Calendar, there was a meeting cost, $94. What was that? So that's our meeting cost calculator. It's an option that you can turn on or off if you have our Google Chrome extension. The idea is that if you have a lot of people in your company and you kind of want a little bit more attention to be paid around how much resources is this meeting taking, this is just a way to remind people so that they can come into a meeting ultra prepared, making sure that only the people that are going to be participating are actually going to the meeting. Alessandra, you mentioned one of the competitors out there. The way that we think about this stuff is that there are a lot of tools out there that focus on being a point solution around taking and post-processing meetings, taking them, transcribing or summarizing them. That's not what we're trying to do. We do that, and again, maybe I'm biased. We think, and we've been told by our customers, that we outperform when you do a head-to-head comparison. But that's not why you should use Fellow. You should use Fellow because you want to solve your meeting problem. Summarizing a meeting is part of that. But we always say, if you summarize a crappy meeting, it was still crappy and it was still a waste of time. So what we like to do is we try to solve the meeting problem holistically. And so that's what Fellow is about. It's this all-in-one platform. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you do a head-to-head comparison on any particular thing. From Charles, as you're expanding your Copilot to look at all of a person's meetings, it would be nice to be able to ask things like, what are some of the most urgent action items? So Charles, you read our minds. That's exactly the sorts of things that we are thinking about. If you do it on a per meeting basis right now, I promise you're going to be pleasantly surprised with how well it works. That's kind of like the world that we're entering, right? You end the week and you want to just be told, what happened this week? Just remind me. Or you walk in on a Monday, what do I need to focus on? Fellow should be able to help you with those. So those are definitely the ways that we are thinking. Christopher, you asked about the unlimited recordings. Yes. So that is generally how it works. It's on top of whatever the per user fee is. But again, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that for most organizations, but it does work for solopreneurs. Because if you have an organization and you have a bunch of people on Fellow, typically the pooled credits that we offer, say on the business plan, is more than enough. And if 5 people attend the same meeting, it's still 1 credit. It doesn't use more than that. So generally speaking, organizations that use Fellow should be good with our pooled options. But if you're solopreneur, you might want to get the add-on. The final 2 questions: are there any plans to improve the OKRs of Fellow? They're such an important feature of a meeting. So JT, the reason that we have OKRs in Fellow is because we think goals are discussed in meetings. And to have a great meeting, we should make that interface seamless. The focus of the team right now is build more and more AI capability within the product is we really, really truly feel that we can revolutionize the ways that you have meetings. That probably takes up a lot of our focus in more recent months. But once we feel that that's at a good place, we may expand into other areas as well. So in the near term, we are very, very focused on building up the AI functionality and continuing to add value there. And we had another question, which is how do we convince our IT to enable the Copilot for everyone from Robin? If you're having trouble convincing your IT, it's super simple. Just reach out to us. We have documentation, security docs we can send. Happy to chat with your IT team. And again, we're enabling this across the board. AI is new for companies. There is a little bit of explaining why it's secure, it's private, and it works. There hasn't been a company so far that we haven't been able to convince that it's something that they should enable. So that brings us to an end for today. We definitely had more questions than I was able to answer during this time, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. With that said, thank you all for attending. Another great launch, but this is not the end. There's so many new things coming, and I'm super excited for all of you to see all the things that we have coming in store. Thank you, and we will see you next time.